everybody. By demand or by request, I'm doing a short video now, just running through the initial principles of Pilates. Yes, Pilates exercises, Pilates videos on YouTube, online, the ones I've put up so far can quite easily be just copied, movement by movement. But the principles behind Pilates means that you're doing them A, safely, but also B, you're getting the maximum amount of core contraction and the maximum amount of muscular contraction out of them. So even if you think you've done Pilates before correctly, just spend this quick time just watching through this video, just to kind of understand a little bit more behind Pilates and why we can say the things we do and why we kind of try to put you into positions that we do. Now I'm going to do a quick anatomy lesson of the core. Okay, so there is still lots of debate in research about what is the core. But we do know a little bit about what the primary sling is. Now, when I say sling, I mean muscles and how they work together. For you guys, let's just figure out what muscles work to protect this central portion of us, okay, this wraparound from spine to abs. Now, the primary sling is consisted of the muscles which wrap around the center of your torso. Now, this muscle here is called your transversus abdominis, and it runs horizontally. Okay, so when you think about the rectus abdominis, your abs, your rectus, your six-pack, that runs vertically. We actually don't want to be working that all the time because it's a power muscle. It can't work all day, so it's not a very good core muscle, not good for endurance. The transversus is a core muscle. It works for endurance. So think about it. If it's running horizontally, when it contracts, it actually pulls together, which is why a lot of Pilates instructors will talk about the corsets, okay? Because when we engage those muscles, we're actually drawing everything inwards, around the spine, and around that waist, a bit like a corset. So that kind of wraps around. When we're talking about core, our center, engaging our center, we're talking about engaging that transversus abdominis. Now, the base of our core comes from our pelvic floor, okay? So it's the muscles which women tend to use to try to stop us from going for a wee, okay? It draws those muscles up towards our belly button. Okay, it's very bad to bear down, so really try and focus on drawing those muscles up toward your belly button. And for men, if you're unsure about what those pelvic floor muscles are, just imagine you're drawing the crown jewels up inside you, and those are the muscles again which are your pelvic floor. Now, like your centering, like your transversus abdominis, which wraps around all the way around your corset, the pelvic floor also works best at about 30 to 50%. That's your core. So if you're finding you're kind of gripping in the whole time, it's more ab, not so much core. So you're not getting that kind of spinal stability element. And the last part of this kind of story of the primary sling, the muscles we need to work to stabilize and keep us safe, is the top, the diaphragm. Now, the diaphragm is the bottom of the ribs and it helps us breathe, okay? It's the muscle which contracts and relaxes to help us lift and drop down our chest to let our lungs get all that lovely nourishing air in. But to be able to kind of engage through that diaphragm is a really good skill to have. And it's about the ability to just take that chest and almost soften it down. Okay, so when I soften my rib cage down, I'm not rounding my back as I do that. The aim is to keep this nice natural curve in the lower back. And when you kind of press down with the rib cage, your rib cage drops down towards the pubic bone, not straight backwards. And again, it's a subtle movement, a subtle skill, but it is something you guys need to be learning to get the most out of it, especially when you do anything like a sit-up or an ab prep. If you can get the ribs moving, see that? I'm just shortening the distance down between my chest and my pubic bone, but without doing this kind of really big movement through my whole body. That's going to get the best core engagement, which is of course exactly what you're looking for. Now, once you've kind of got the muscles sorted out, you also want to make sure the body's in the right position. A quick run through of the important factors in Pilates. In standing, the head and neck. You want to have this beautifully long neck, but you almost want to imagine that your head's just kind of tucking inwards slightly. You see that movement I've just done there? I've just brought my chin in, which has lengthened the back of my neck and given me a little bit of a quarter chin, but actually it's a really good position to be in. Now the shoulders a little bit easier. You take them just backwards and just down. And again, it's not this really big movement because look, that throws my chest out. I just want to take the shoulders just back slightly and just down the back. So you're thinking of the shoulder blades, melting the shoulder blades down your spine. Now I think one of the most important parts of keeping your back safe is your lower back position. And lots of the times when you'll see my exercises, especially the beginner versions, I'll talk about pelvic tilts. And it's about the ability to take your pelvis and imagining almost my pelvis is a bit of a bucket of water. To tip my pelvis forward, I just tip the pelvis down, lifting my tailbone up, which creates an extra arch in my lower back. So that's a forwards tilt, tipping some water at the front of my bucket. And then gently coming through the middle to tuck the pelvis under, so a backwards tilt, where I kind of tip some water out the back of my bucket. And just being able to just do these little tilts is a really important skill. Now again, when you're doing this, when you're having a practice, don't move the knees and don't move the chest. It's just a pelvic movement. It's really easy to start kind of doing the whole body with it. Just slow it down. And what you're doing is you're trying to find a halfway or comfortable position, which is your neutral. And then when you do other classes, other Pilates instructors will talk about maintain your neutral, keep your neutral, which means that when you do an exercise, don't drop into a backwards tilt or don't drop into a forwards tilt. Because if you move away from that neutral position, if you're looking to stabilize your spine, you're not. Okay, so only do an exercise up to the point where you can keep your neutral. Now, it will be different on different people depending on your skeleton. That's absolutely fine. But you've got to work into just where is my comfortable position? And then when I move positions, can I still keep it there? So for example, if I go down to 4-point kneel now, I can still run through the same things. I can still think about my head and neck. Okay, I still want to have a long back of the neck, and I still want to have that chin in just slightly. And that's a nice long neck. It keeps my neck spine in line with the rest of my body, rest of my spine. The shoulder blades, same thing. I can melt the shoulder blades down my back. Okay, imagine your shoulders and your ears had a really big row. But keep them as far apart as you can. Soften my rib cage. So lifting my rib cage up, again without moving into like a cat stretch. And then that lower back, again, that pelvic. Little tilt forward, little tilt backwards. So when doing these little tilts forward and backwards, I'm just kind of warming up my lower back. I'm lubricating the discs in my lower back, getting my nerves awake. But I'm also trying to find that halfway position. And once I've found it, I'm going to use my primary sling, my core muscles, to keep me there. So when I do an exercise like a straight leg lift, when I'm doing it, I only go as far as I can maintain that neutral, because as soon as I drop, I've lost it. I've lost all that nice muscular contraction, and then it just becomes a movement, not a core exercise. Same thing laying on the back. Much more important, I think, for the lower part of the body. So when you're laying on your back, you're nice and relaxed. You've got a soft rib cage. So on this one, I kind of say to people, imagine you're trying to press your bra strap, or where you would wear a heart rate monitor, into the floor. Okay, but again, I said it's really important for this pelvic area. So hands on hips again. And with those pelvic tilts, you roll the pelvis forward and backwards. Now on this one, if you imagine you've got a marble resting on your tummy, if you do a forwards tilt, it arches the lower back and it rolls the marble down towards your toes. And then when you do a backwards tilt, it flattens the lower back into the floor and the marble rolls up towards your nose. And again, you're just doing a couple of these rolls forward and backwards until you find your neutral, okay? Which is probably going to be a small space under your lower back. Now, don't be averse to maybe putting something under there, something soft and small, like a bottle cap or a pen lid. So you can just feel the pressure, because then when you do an exercise, let's say, for example, one leg stretch level 3, when you do the stretch, if you are not engaging your core properly, you might tip and lift the lower back, or roll back and kind of press the lower back into the floor, which again is just cheating. So when we're doing Pilates exercises, you really need to be finding, where's my middle point? Do I have the stability, the core control to do anything with my legs, up, down, left, right, side to side, but keep that small space under my lower back? And that's the key crux of Pilates. Now, lower back, set, rib cage soft, so that press into the floor. Now, guys, if you can just press your rib cage straight down, you should feel a big abdominal change. Relaxed ribs, probably quite soft abdominal muscles underneath your ribs, but when you press them down, you get quite hard, okay? So we're really going to work on that position. Shoulders and head, same thing. Shoulders melted down, still imagining your ears and your shoulders had an argument, and then lengthening the back of the neck, so you can almost flatten the lower back down and bring the chin in, giving you like that kind of ugly quarter chin. But when you've got that nice strong position, you can go anywhere with that position. Side lying, last but not least, very, very similar, okay? Lots of you would benefit from having a pillow or a ball in between, again, to keep you in line. But if you don't, please feel free to put your hand there. But again, make sure that you haven't any shoulder or neck issues if you do that. Pelvic position, again, you can do clams and side kicks till the cows come home. But if you have got a forwards tilted or a backwards tilted position, you're not going to get very far. Find your middle ground. So forwards tilt, backwards tilt a couple of times. Find the halfway point. Stay there. The only different thing in side lying is lengthening this side waist. When you're relaxed, it's really dipped. So side lying, you want to imagine you taking your hip bone and you're pushing it that way towards your toes. You're lengthening it down, which creates a longer waist. You see that? Hip, hitch, naughty hip, lengthened hip, good hip. Small space under your waist this time, between your side and your mat. Perfect. If you can get your tilt middle and this nice long top hip waist, again, anything you do in side line is going to be much more beneficial, much more optimal, lots more glute work, and just a bit better than kind of sunk hip. You'll probably feel you can get really, really high. Irrelevant. You're not working those appropriate muscles to get the best. You'll still do some work, of course, but it's about getting the best, isn't it? That's what we want. So, hopefully that helps. Going through just a little bit of anatomy about what exactly it is you're trying to work, and then how you can use your posture muscles in order to get the best core work that you can. Now, if you have the availability to, I would always recommend that you go and see somebody one-to-one, because a Pilates instructor can always then look at you and actually assess you as you're moving and maybe give you some helpful hints and tips to get you on your way. And a lot of people will do Pilates because they've got a particular issue or an old injury, especially in the back. So again, although there's loads of things out there available to you on the internet, you can get DVDs left, right and centre. It's really important that you do it properly. Otherwise, you can just exacerbate those problems that you're having in the first place. Again, please feel free to call me, ask me anything. I know that at the moment we're in quarantine. Hopefully, if you're watching this, eventually we'll be out of it. But, people are doing one-to-one sessions over the internet as well. So guys, just be safe. I hope this was helpful. And yeah, ask me any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.